Ladies and gentlemen, objective journalism is dead. Now, some of you might agree with that statement or disagree with that statement, but what I've always said is that all we have left in this world are political commentators, people who are merely saying what happened in their own words, giving their own biases. What I've always suggested people do is go to different sources, left, right, center, piece together the common denominators between them, and that is essentially how you'll find truth. That is why I'm excited to present to you the very first episode of my new series, Who Is? Ben Shapiro is an American conservative political commentator, author, lawyer, and podcast host. He was born on January 15th, 1984 in LA, California. Shapiro became known for his conservative political commentary, often providing a critical voice of the left-leaning mainstream media and promoting conservative values such as limited government, individual rights, and free market capitalism. He started his career in journalism at a young age and has written for various publications such as Breitbart News, The Daily Wire, and The National Review. He has authored several books, including Brainwashed and The Right Side of History. In addition to his written work, Shapiro hosts a daily podcast called The Ben Shapiro Show, which has a very large following. He also frequently appears on cable news shows as a political commentator and is a frequent speaker on college campuses and at conservative events. Now, while Ben Shapiro has many political beliefs, he really stands for mainstream conservatism as we know it. He has three that really stuck out to me. First off, Ben Shapiro has been a staunch advocate against gender ideology.
Him, Caitlyn Jenner.
No, it's her. You're not being polite to the pronouns.
Because
disrespectful.
Okay, forget about the disrespect. Facts don't care about your feelings. It turns out that every chromosome, every cell in Caitlyn Jenner's body is male with the exception of some of his sperm cells.
Ben Shapiro has been a supporter of the Second Amendment.
I think we can have a rational political conversation about balancing rights and risks and rewards of all of these different policies, but I don't think that what we need to do is demonize people on the other side as being unfeeling about what happened in San Diego.
How dare you accuse me of standing on the graves of the children that died there? How dare you?
I've seen you do it repeatedly, Piers.
And Ben has also been a massive advocate for the freedom of expression, especially on college campuses.
White family worth, in terms of financial worth, is 69 times more than that of black families. Given this disparity, how can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't, you know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school. Explain that one to me. Explain to me why black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder. Explain to me why the number of black kids in prison, not for innocent reasons, not for walking down the street and getting pulled into a prison, is so high. Explain, if it has nothing to do with culture, explain to me why the single motherhood rate in the black community jumped from 20% to 70% in the same course of time that the civil rights movement has made such tremendous strides. Is America more racist now than it was in 1960? And if it is, please explain to me how that happened.
All right, now I want to talk a little bit more about my thoughts of Ben Shapiro, my impressions. Ben Shapiro, to be honest, the reason why I'm starting with him in this series, he was the man that got me into politics. I started watching Ben Shapiro before The Daily Wire existed. For those of you who don't know, The Daily Wire is a broadcasting and news company that he founded with his co-partner, Jeremy Boring. It didn't really get big until COVID. It really took off, and now I believe they make hundreds of millions of dollars a year in ad revenue as well in subscribers to their channel. I learned from Ben Shapiro from YouTube probably when I was about 14 years old. And what really drew me into Ben, and I think something that's really important to understand about him, is his religious background. Now, I am a Christian. I am a very zealous Christian. I go to church on Sundays. I even served a 2-year mission for my church. And so I really stand by Judeo-Christian values, and a lot of my conservative beliefs have been formed by those things. And so for those of you who didn't know, Ben Shapiro is Jewish. He is very passionate about his religion. He believes very strongly in the values that Judaism has given him. And that really resonated with me. So that's something you have to understand when you're listening to Ben Shapiro or watching his videos, is that all of his values are coming from a place of Judeo-Christian ethics and values. Now, the other thing that's really important to understand about Ben Shapiro, which I think has also founded a lot of my political beliefs, especially in my voting patterns, is that he was a conservative well before Trump. Now, I know that there are plenty of conservatives that were conservatives before Trump that became more pro-Trump after, but Ben always has been someone that focused, and you can hear this in his podcasts, he's focused more on the Republican Party and that success rather than any individual candidate. And so when Trump was running in 2016, he was quite skeptical of him. Once he won the nomination, Ben kind of jumped on that train. In 2020, he also jumped on the Trump train. But I know he voted for Donald Trump in 2020. I believe he did not vote for Trump in 2016. I think that was just purely out of principle and not a matter of politics. It's important to understand that going forward in 2024, Ben Shapiro is not the most pro-Trump political commentator. He definitely favors DeSantis as a Florida resident. During COVID, he moved from LA to Florida to kind of escape the craziness that was going on there. And he is a real fan of the policies that DeSantis has put in place. Not only that, but he has a quite close relationship with Governor Ron DeSantis. So it's important to understand that in his political commentary, he's certainly biased against Trump, though I do think he is fair and understands that a lot of his audience are Trump supporters. And so I wouldn't say he slanders Trump in any way, but he's definitely more of a moderate conservative, and he, I think, would choose most candidates over Trump because he believes that that is the most healthy thing for the Republican Party. Again, other than that, his beliefs are pretty standard for conservatives. Very pro-life, very pro-Second Amendment, very anti-gender ideology. The only issue that I've seen the most nuance with him is those with more libertarian undertones, such as the legalization of drugs. I've seen he's talked a lot about it, and I don't think his opinion is real solid on that. So if that's an important issue to you, I would definitely check him out because he has some nuanced opinions on it, and it's not something that's quite settled yet, at least not from what I have seen. Overall, Ben Shapiro is a moderate conservative who will give you a very conservative take on the news. I think he tries to be fair, but there's no question that he aligns most with conservatism, and he's very loyal to the Republican Party. Thank you so much for watching this first episode of Who Is. Remember to like and subscribe down below. Let me know what you thought about this first episode if you want to see more episodes like this, or any suggestions on what political commentators you'd like me to cover. Thanks.